Refugees at risk. The migrant crisis is showing no sign of ending. Yikes. Warmonger's back. Mr. President, we're doing our best to hold back migrants at the border. But Homeland Security reports that in recent days, hundreds of refugees have managed to get across despite our efforts. We've already caught a dozen illegal immigrants in the border towns, but God only knows how many more slip through. And I won't even try to describe how the locals are responding to the situation. For instance, take the Arizona town of Sandy Lake, where some bastard brutally killed a schoolgirl. The police are still looking for the culprit, but the locals have already decided that the killer is a refugee. The nearby gun shop suddenly sold out all their pump-action shotguns. And they're obviously not for shooting beer bottles, sir. I'm afraid the city is on the brink of a bloody massacre. Sandy Lake authorities can't handle the situation themselves, and they're asking for help from the feds, who aren't known for their subtle approach. In my experience, if you just hold back and let things go how they're gonna go, you'll be dealing with another crisis. Plus, people will point the finger at you for getting everyone all riled up. But I know you don't want to make a big spectacle of yourself, and you don't need the extra attention of the press. Maybe you can figure out a way to calm everyone down without making a big fuss. Calm down the Sandy Lake residents who are furious about the influx of refugees. Protect the refugees from any reprisal by the locals. And he's spreading rumors, persuasion. Let's send Tien. Maybe Joe for journalist stuff. Just the day before yesterday, in a ditch near where the illegals came through, the body of Lori Smith was found. A 15-year-old schoolgirl strangled to death for the quiet town of Sandy Lake. This came as a real shock. The victim is the daughter of a local farmer, Riley Smith. He's a wild binge drinker, and he doesn't want to wait for the results of the investigation. Instead, he's inciting his drinking buddies to a racist riot. The local sheriff is losing his grip. He can't produce the killer, and he can't calm his people down. How do you want to defuse the situation, Mr. President? Okay, first thing, defuse it. Threaten Riley Smith with a lawsuit if he touches one single migrant. Offer Riley Smith $25,000 in compensation for his daughter's death. These don't seem like very good options. Spread rumors of a typhoid outbreak in the refugee camp. Anonymously warn the Sandy Lake authorities of a racist riot. Organize a country festival with free beer in the town center. Isn't that just gonna get them super drunk? I gotta see how that turns out. Mr. President, I organized a massive celebration in Sandy Lake. The whole city came out for free beer and country music. The drunken farmers sang so loud you could probably hear them in New York. Then one of the refugees came on the scene and started singing George Strait covers. The crowd clapped their hands and cheered. Riley Smith didn't clap, but he drank his fill and passed out beside the hot dog stand. After the concert, the grateful spectators scattered home, and the refugees all moved north the same night. I always say music and beer will bring together even the greatest enemies. It worked! Joe's the man! Mr. President, life at Sandy Lake is getting back to normal. Most of the refugees have left the city. For the most part, the locals have stopped harassing those who remained. National journalists aren't going to be focusing on the town's problems. Frankly, when you barred the refugees from entering the country, I was scared. I thought this decision would cost us dearly, but you've shown us that you could resolve any crisis. Now I respect you even more. Yes! Almost all of us are descendants of migrants. The recent events at Sandy Lake showed us that we must not forget this. Our great goal is safety and equal rights for everyone in America. Okay, this one actually makes sense. Shit, I couldn't make any nonsensical choices. Thanks to Mr. President, we all feel at home in America. That's why I voted for this guy. Yeah, doubt it. It's always the pessimists. Nice! I told you we'd be back. The president's approach to migration policy has been surprisingly effective. He didn't try anything new, but simply made sure that orders were followed like they should have been from the very beginning. Trouble in Bilmaine. A fire? Hey man, I'm sorry to interrupt your work, but we've got an emergency in Minnesota. A gas cylinder exploded at a supermarket in Bilmaine. The roof collapsed on 130 people, 15 dead, 20 injured. K9 units are looking for people still stuck under the rubble. I was watching the live stream from the scene. It's some nightmare. Ambulance sirens are, it's some nightmare. Ambulance sirens are going nonstop and the people are in shock. Here's what I was thinking. Maybe we could show our support for the people of Bilmaine using this during this difficult time. Fly to the scene of the explosion and meet with the victims personally. And after a day of mourning, offer our condolences to families. Let's not get involved. We won't be making it easier for the people who are suffering. Let's go and visit them. That's never a bad thing, I think. Man, that was a generous gesture, and it showed how much you care for your everyday fellow man. You feel their pain with all your heart and soul. But unfortunately, that's not how the people of Bilmaine saw it. Yeah. Local media are saying that you were just using the tragedy for a photo op. Twitter is a wave of negative comments because the city's main streets got shut down because of you. They're saying this blocked them from moving in special equipment and led to even greater casualties. I'm sure that's just blatantly not fair. Where's their gratitude and respect? If only they knew how much sweat and blood we shed for the common people. Oh, that's gonna be real bad. Shit. Locals wondered why Mr. President even bothered to come. His presence only made the situation worse, as additional security measures on the site of the tragedy had to be put in place. Should've just let it be. Pamela Najina, Counselor of Indigenous Affairs, says, Mr. President, the tallest mountain in North America used to be named Mount McKinley, but all the newer maps call it Denali. Would you like to know why? It is the name given to it by Athabascans, the native people of this land. Now the representatives of the Navajo and other large tribes are sending persistent requests to rename the Potomac River to the Cahagaranton. Quite a tongue twister, this name. So is the Mississippi. But that's what it was called by the Native Americans who lived here. I'm afraid turning them down is going to sour relations with the Nation Council. Should we agree to rename the Washington's main waterway? Sure. Alexis Dunlop, Director of the Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs, says, Sir, our ambassador to Japan is going to make their first speech in a Hiroshima Memorial Peace Park today. A fitting moment to deliver a formal apology to the Japanese people. Yes, some do believe we should not admit the wrongfulness of our actions. But maybe an apology for dropping the atomic bomb will let us close this chapter for good. Sure. Philip King, CEO at Smart Home. Sir, I took a look around and wow, this place is positively medieval. You have to turn knobs to open doors, pull cords to bring down curtains, and push buttons to the toilet to flush. You're not living in a museum, you know. It just so happens my dream is to make a smart White House. I won't bother you with the details, but my project includes reactive lighting that adjusts to the tone of your voice, a built-in alarm clock in the walls, and sophisticated flush sensors in every toilet bowl. You on board with this, sir? No, I learned my lesson. Every time I refurbish the White House, people get pissed off at me. Uh-oh. Hostages at the supermarket. Man, check this out. Some bum in New York went into a supermarket and took a bunch of weekend shoppers hostage. He's got an automatic rifle and yelling that if he's not talking to the president in 10 minutes, he'll start shooting. You're not actually going to talk to this psychopath, are you, man? I wouldn't put American lives on the line. Maybe you can cool him down. I'll try to figure out what he wants and try not to provoke him. Let's try to figure out what he wants and not provoke him. I hear you, buddy. Well, good luck to us. Hello, sir. Tell me what happened. What can I do to help? Thank you, sir. Mr. President, it's my wife. She's a bitch. Such a bitch. She filed for divorce and she's tried to take the children. I asked her, what's wrong? She says to stop drinking, so I stopped. I haven't drank anything in 4 days. And then this big stink snake with huge teeth comes up to me and says, I'll kill you, Bob, unless you bring me a golden brick. All right, my friend. So what happened next? Stink Snake feeds on golden bricks. I need them. Please, just give me what I need and I'll leave. I swear to God. I have some gold bricks. My guys will deliver them to you by messenger. No, no. Oh, I wish this conversation never happened. Oh, after the bad man hung up the phone. Special forces stormed the place. It was a damn meat grinder in there. 2 civilians died and 1 special forces guy died too. This psycho got lucky. He's in intensive care right now. What? I was talking to him. Hope you didn't let him get to you. Yes, the media has already decided that your decree on the colonization of Mars is to blame for everything. The guy losing his job wasn't your fault. That's on his old boss. But you know these journalists, all they know how to do is make stories out of nothing. Oh God! It was working! -3%. The mad alcohol addict who threatened the visitors of a New York store asked to negotiate with Mr. President himself. The rumor suggests that Mr. President did indeed answer the call and failed miserably at calming down the terrorists. These deaths won't do any good to your karma, Mr. President. I did the best I could. I thought I did okay. No. Alexis, sir, our ambassador delivered a speech in Hiroshima and apologized on behalf of the American people, just like you told. The Japanese met his statement with a polite yet awkward applause. But things look much brighter on the home front. The conflict happened long enough for people to take the apology as a display of strength. Okay. Man. Okay, what's this? First division. The former star pitcher holds stock that rightfully belongs to you. Maybe we can get some cash out of this. Man, things were going so well. My dear President, do you remember your old friend, that baseball player, Mason K? You said you gave him a stake in the New York Coyotes when you made your first prison deal. Oh, this is the thing that we, the assets that we wanted to get back. I don't know if you've been following him, but Mason didn't just keep his share, but he ended up the team manager. At first, he seemed like a real talent and his players went on to the big leagues. But things aren't going so smoothly for him now. The players are openly revolting against the manager, trying to rein them in. He added some real useless players to the roster, the kind who would wash out of college league. This weekend, the Coyotes are facing off against the Indian Wolves, who won the World Series last year. The team still has some good players, but their contracts are expiring. And if the team doesn't use this game to prove that it still belongs in the major league, those contracts won't be renewed. In my opinion, Mason is running our assets into the ground. You built that team from scratch, gave him an expensive gift, and now he behaves like this. Time to take back control of the Coyotes, or all of your years of work will go to waste. But before you take the Coyotes back, we need to make sure they win the upcoming game. If they lose, the remaining players will leave the club all at once, and the value of the team's shares will collapse, and the team will be of no more use to us. Who do you think can breathe some new spirit back into the Coyotes and teach Mason a lesson? Ensure the New York Coyotes beat the Indian Wolves. Make money by selling your former stake in New York Coyotes. Court cases, behind the scenes negotiations. Persuasion. Maybe Conrad? Physical threats? Let's try this out. The main problem is our pitcher, Aki Ashida. He was a good player 10 years ago, but now he's no longer in shape. Another big problem is the Wolves' batter, Timon Blanco. I read in the sports press that the whole team is built around this guy. There are lots of rumors about him. Apparently, whenever he solicits women he likes, his lawyers pay them substantial compensation to keep the experience out of the papers. At the same time, Timon is a professional. He never misses a workout because he's been out binging with his friends. What should we do to improve the Coyotes' chances? Shoot Blanco in the knees. Pump Yoshida with stimulants before the game. Brother, sometimes stimulants ain't good for the soft guys. Right before the match, I met up with Aki Yoshida and explained what to do. Fortunately, the kid overdid it and sniffed way too much dope. Yoshida fell out in the middle of the field, convulsing. He got carried away by the doctors. Brother, it's not my fault Yoshida can't hold his dope. My dear, this is no good. The wolves mopped the floor with our coyotes. Sports commentators are writing that they've never seen such a miserable game. It's hard for me to judge. I don't know anything about games, but I can count money. And yes, our assets have fallen significantly. Seeing the value of his shares collapse, Mason will want to sell them to anyone he can as soon as possible, before they're completely worthless. We mustn't let this happen. How can we get his share back? Mason is a tough old guy, and he's been putting everything into the team for a long time. He's not about to just give anything up. All right, Conrad. Kill Mason! Conrad, offer Mason 10% of the sale price off the shares. Scour the contracts and find some way to recover the shares through the courts. Sure. Mr. President, I have studied the documents and I am pleased to say that the agreement may indeed be canceled. In fact, there's no evidence that there ever was an agreement. You and Mason have entered into a sale and purchase agreement for a 51% stake for $1, but there are no documents to confirm that this dollar was ever handed over to you. In order to avoid a drawn-out ordeal, Mason agreed to settle out of court. He'll transfer the money from the sale of his shares to one of our accounts. We bought Mason's stake for cheaper, sold it at a profit, and managed to make some money. I wonder if we could have made more if I didn't screw that up. Wait, which one's my team? Were we the Coyotes? I'm rooting for the Coyotes tonight. Go! Beat everybody! Coyotes rule, fast as a bullet. The Wolves are coming. You're going to be owned. Better than anyone else. We're the Badgers. Go! Honey, next time you decide to lend somebody something, ask a lawyer to get a receipt, okay? Okay, ratings hit. Oh, yeah, we got a lot of money. 2 mil. Chief, I'm tired of people. Could you let me work remotely for a few weeks? Sure. Wolfhide, head of security service, says, Mr. President, we must ban the development of oil wells off the coast of Antarctica. The risk of oil spills in the region is too great, and removing their consequences will be next to impossible due to the harsh climate. Antarctica is home to unique flora and fauna. Just take one look at these adorable fur seals. They are doomed unless you act, Mr. President. Will you sign an executive order banning oil production in the Antarctic shelf? Yes. I think that's the popular choice. Carla Weaver, head of the Federation of Labor, says, Mr. President, the pen pushers from the White House office have submitted an anonymous letter. They are complaining that their tasks are so confidential they cannot even discuss daily affairs with the colleagues in the smoking room. The pressure is forcing them to consume antidepressants, and many have taken to the bottle. But I have a solution. Let people smoke without leaving their workplaces. They'll stop gossiping in the smoking rooms, and the entire problem will become a non-issue. Do you like my idea? No! Brother, I work my ass off and I still don't get any serious money. You know I don't appreciate this kind of situation. I want more money, so I asked around. They told me it was normal to ask the president for a raise. $305,000 a month? No! You keep fucking up. Okay, brother, we'll talk about this again. Hey, now we're talking. Okay, who needs to go on vacation? Conrad, Will, Ollie. Rest up, guys. Find the leak. Help find a mole in the Space Force. I think the people we have left over could do that. Victor Dabrio, Space Force's general. Sir, the Russians recently launched their newest Terran A7 missile. Tell you what, with its supercharged vernier thrusters, 10 liquid propellant engines, and chrome hull, the thing is an absolute beast and a true feat of rocketry. The issue? It looks like a carbon copy of Venus Z, or Z. Our very own latest design. Even the outer body is exactly the same, save for a color change. Someone leaked our project to the Russians. Haven't been able to locate the rat internally yet. I hate it if a sensitive story like that hit the media. So I've come to you for help. Do you have a hacker on your team who could access personal data of our employees and find the piece of shit who sold out the Russian? Now I can't. Okay, I don't have any hackers, so we'll maybe do that later. Name the weapon. Rudy Wolfowitz, Secretary of Defense, says, Mr. President, we've recently completed the trials of a new top secret weapon at the Aberdeen Proving Ground. Oh, the weapon itself has passed the test with flying colors, and the only problem is we weren't able to come up with a real statement name for it. Everything about the thing is still highly classified. So we can't just go and recruit some copywriters. Maybe you have a creative mind on your team? We'd give him a good demonstration of what this baby does, and he'd give it a striking, instantly memorable name. Giving weapons quality names is something every leader should have a priority. Every leader should have as a priority, but I'm sure you know that already. Alta, maybe? Or Joe? Alta, let's use Alta. We haven't used Alta for a while. Improve education. Ellie wants to find a way to re-educate American school children before it's too late. Senator Dickinson. Noah has arranged a meeting with Senator Dickinson. Are you ready to negotiate? We got Clint and Jerry. Let's do it. Honey, to negotiate with Dickinson, you'd better have something on her to make her be more accommodating. If you have nothing on her, then you must have something in your wallet. With no information and no money, all you can count on is flattery. I say Dickinson can fall for that. What do you say, ready or not? I guess not. Don't rush it. Get things ready before you go to that meeting. Okay. Let's go, improve education, maybe? Let's see what this is all about. Honey, it's about time we turned our eyes to the American education system. If one can call this royal mess a system. Well, America got off the hook almost 300 years ago. Our children are now increasingly getting hooked on bad things, ranging from fast food and sugar to alcohol and drugs. And don't even get me started on social media. Remember Butters, the kid who lived in the woods until he was 8? America's last kid hooked on nothing. The media used to write about him. Well, earlier today, Just DC published a story on him getting addicted to burgers from Fat Joe's and gaining 80 pounds in a single year. The internet is in mourning. The kid was everyone's last hope, but the new generation could still be saved. Of course, the media are putting the blame on the government and on you personally for not taking action. I need someone reliable I could trust with composing some reforms. Do you have the right person on your team? Clint, maybe? Jerry? Writing bills, lobbying bills. Yeah, Jerry's a man. And we'll wait on these ones. Help a mayor hold talks with the factory owner. I don't want to stress everyone out. I want to have some people that are available. I want to see if there's anything else we can do before the end of the month. We could hire Sophie, but I don't think we need her right now. Let's go. Our approval rating took a major dip and then leveled out. So overall, we did well. Definitely cash-wise, we did really well. Pretty stressed, though. Into October 2021. $7.2. Name the weapon. Rudy Wolfowitz says, Mr. President, Vengeful Whisper is just what the doctor ordered. We already briefed the media on our new deadly development and made a point to mention your personal involvement in its creation. Nice. Improve education. Honey, we decided on Art Heals as a slogan for our reform. Schools should contribute not only to educating, but also to character building. Otherwise, we can't guarantee kids grow up to be upstanding, law-abiding society members, eager to vote for sensible people like me and you. School reform art therapy. Combat drug addiction among school children. 73% of teens caught with drugs cited depression as the cause of their addiction. About 60% diagnosed it themselves. Art therapy has long been a proven treatment for depression in American neurological dispensaries. We will place a series of posters titled Life Without Drugs by the famous New York artist Serge Peacock in all schools. He had been using LSD since he was 12 years old, but recently he gave up acid and took up conceptual art. His posters immediately caused controversy in the mainstream media. The author claims that his work shows the beauty of a world without drugs. Research is yet to prove the unequivocal positive effect. But let me assure you, seeing these posters once is enough to make you never want to use drugs again. What? Project costs low. The author is willing to hand us over the rights for his work. If he is forgiven tens of thousands of dollars in debt and his credit rating slightly improved. Whereas school children are more likely to start suffering from clinical rather than self-diagnosed depression. Should we spend 2.8 mil to get a 9% bump? I have a lot of cash right now. I think I'll postpone it just for now. Do I have to send 2 people? I guess I'll send them. Matthew Barsagan, founder of Good and Trust Charity, says, Mr. President, the hike in the price has dampened the sales of the mugs with your face. It looks like some people's political convictions are just as strong as we thought. Our books are barely in the black, and we have received several offensive reviews. The smart asses in the comments are calling you that fucking miser. I do apologize. This is entirely my fault. I thought I'd get more cash out of that. Wolfite says, Mr. President, thank you for banning oil production off the coast of Antarctica. The fur seals are now safe. The oil barons may complain about the lost profits all they want, but I agree with the scientists. They hail your wise and far-reaching decision. Pamela, this is Indigenous Affairs, says, Mr. President, the Kahana now proudly carries its waters through Washington. The Nation Council has finally relented with their demands. But it's hardly a cause for celebration. The people are infuriated by their beloved Potomac, becoming what is now this. The sentiment is confirmed by dozens of fresh offensive graffiti I saw in my... Oh, man. That's a pretty cool name, though. What? Balanced off by Shymus. Even though the bounty on Modesto's head is considerable, it is still firmly sitting on his shoulders. Sir, additionally, he promised to pay 10 times as much for your assassination as a retort. Your life is now worth 10 million. Fact checkers from Left 4 Dead have confirmed it is the biggest bounty in history. This is something to be proud of, sir. And another plus point for Rena Ratal says, Sir, I am so happy you agreed to a pajamas photo shoot. The folks in the comments appreciate your fluffy socks and hardworking nature. I always said political figures should be closer to the people. I really thought that was going to backfire. Yeah, I'll give you a bump. That's not a ridiculous request. Just a few weeks remain until the Senate vote on the president's impeachment. Neither the analysts nor the insiders are calling this one. These are dark days for the administration. Gun shows are a stain on America. When will we finally put an end to this crazy worship of weapons and death, Berta says. Archie's back. Our so-called president thinks he can get away with everything, and I just sit it out quietly until the end of his term. But let me assure you to the contrary, America still has plenty of brave and determined people, and we're more than capable of bringing a murderer to answer for his deeds. And those people will be trying him in Congress today. Honey, your impeachment congressional hearings are coming up very soon. You still have time to accept Noah's offer and talk to the senator about getting Congress to support you. Don't even think of turning it down. If you let it go, we might end up in the crapper. Good luck with that. We'll make it work. This is going to be it. This is going to be the moment of truth. Lena Atsung, head of Congressional Copyright Caucus, says, Mr. President, I was invited to see a school play the other day. The drama club staged Paul Chazel's Magnificent Thing. I did enjoy the performance, but the admission cost me $1. Somehow I don't think Chazel received a single red cent, which grossly violates the author's right to remuneration. It turns out the practice of using other people's intellectual property is common in schools all over the country. I was laughed out of the room when I brought up the issue in Congress. So I'm addressing you directly. I suggest we put an end to the disgrace and introduce fines for staging unlicensed plays in amateur theaters. Will you support my initiative? No! If you got locked into Congress, the people are going to hate it too! Robert Peda, mayor of Hildy, says, Mr. President, there was a scandal at the Denver small-town mayor convention. My lips barely touched the wine glass when the idiot next to me started yelling, I am under 21 years old. The journalist immediately lost interest in the proceedings and put me in the crosshairs. The next day, the newspapers accused convention organizers of breaking the law and alcoholizing the underage. Perhaps it is time to abolish the stupid age limits on drinking. Surely I am good for a glass or two if I am good enough for running a city. Yes. 21's a ridiculous age. In where I live, it's 19, and then right across the river, it's 18. I think 18's fine. I mean, that's the voting age too, right? Antonio, hey man, you know about Jack Gore, the famous epidemiologist? They say he's a talented scientist, and sooner or later, he'll be awarded a Nobel Prize for inventing the malaria vaccine. So tomorrow, you're supposed to present him with an award for his contributions to scientific progress. It's a routine ceremony, but this genius is always harshly criticizing us in his interviews. And the dude is pretty quick-tempered. He's always causing scandals. He was a progressive thinker back in the day, but as he got older, he changed his views. Now he's accusing us of wanting to destroy American society. He sucks up to the establishment and wants more police boots on the streets of American cities. Basically, he's a loose cannon. To be honest, I'm worried the old man will play some kind of trick during the ceremony and make us all look like idiots. What is this? What is this painting? What's the best way to handle presenting this scientist with an award? Send Ellie to the ceremony, he wouldn't dare to bully her. Not afraid of him, I'll present the award myself. Ellie will do it. Man, how does Ellie always do that? Damn, the guy had an evil smile on his face, like he was about to do some damage, but as soon as she walked up and complimented him on his jacket, he just beamed at her. I watched how they stood by the buffet table, talking nicely about science and sipping champagne, and even hugged goodbye. I should ask Ellie to give me a masterclass on how to tame the evil bastards. Woo! Award for a foe. A night that could have easily turned into a disaster proved the naysayers wrong. Mr. President's opponent didn't utter a single joke against him. Seemed to have been troubled by the presence of his wife. Halloween in Washington, create a statue, the bigger gun. But the main thing that we need to deal with is Senator Dickinson.